This episode is brought to you by Companion. Iris and Josh seem like the perfect match, but when a weekend getaway turns into a nightmare, Iris realizes that things aren't as perfect as they appear. From the creators of Barbarian and the studio that brought you The Notebook comes a twisted tale of modern romance and the sweet satisfaction of revenge. Companion, only in theaters January 31st. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
This is a forged document. I've never signed this. I've never even seen that until...
You haven't even seen it now? How do you know it's forged?
From the court in my town.
Okay,
they sent
so
me a
you
copy.
did see it?
Yes.
This is the plaintiff, Janice. She says she was royally ripped off by the defendant who sold her a car with a transmission warranty. And a few weeks later, when the transmission failed, he ignored her. That's right, he said he'd repair any transmission issues, and then, once she said she had an issue, he told her it wasn't his problem. Well, we'll see about that, because she's done playing around and suing the sneaky guy here and now for every penny of the $3,626 he owes her. This is the defendant, Albert George Schubert II. He says the plaintiff forged his name on some sort of warranty she says he gave her regarding the transmission. Not only did he not give her a warranty, the transmission on the car blew because she drove around with a fluid leak. This woman's living in some sort of la-la land because she thinks she was buying a 2019 Bentley when what she really purchased was a used 2003 Pontiac Aztek. He's accused of not honoring a warranty. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,000 for lost wages.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Janice, you've asked to be referred to only as Janice?
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing Albert George Schubert II
Yes, ma'am.
for $3,626 that you say you are out as a result of buying a car that was a lemon, and you want your money back.
Yes,
for what you paid for the car, for repairs, for childcare, and for lost wages. All right. You have a counterclaim against her for $2,000 for lost wages for having to come to court?
From work that I can't do today for having to be
Just
at court.
today?
And yesterday.
Oh,
It's two
okay.
engine jobs.
All right, let me hear from you first, Janice. What's going on?
Hi, I just want to say first, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I watch your show a lot, and you're awesome.
Okay. You also think I'm awesome, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now we're even. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
So what happened?
Well, apparently what happened was I bought this car, so it was like, first it was like between me and my mother, because I recently came from Puerto Rico due to the Hurricane Maria disaster. So I was like in a very desperate situation. Like I was like, whatever car for like the amount of money I have, like I want. So my mom reached out to me, like I came to Puerto Rico and everything. My mom reached out to me, she's like, well, I talked to this guy, like he seems like very legitimate. He seems like he, you know, is selling this car. It was an Aztek Pontiac 2003. And the original price for it was like $2,800. But originally he wanted.
Can I ask you, did you buy the car? Or did your mother?
I bought the car.
How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
Okay, so you buy the car. Did you have it looked at by a mechanic beforehand?
No, ma'am.
All right, do you have paperwork from the sale of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it? Did your mother have it looked at by a mechanic?
No, ma'am.
Was this your car?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you had it?
18 months, maybe 2 years.
All right, so now,
So this is like what I'm going to
if you watch me all the time, Sweet Pea, can you tell me why you bought a 15-year-old car without having a mechanic
I
look
know,
at it?
that was the thing. I was trying to get my uncle, he's a mechanic, to come out, and he couldn't come out that day.
Then don't buy it.
I know, I shouldn't have, but like, I don't know how to explain to you my situation. Like, I was buying.
No, I don't care how desperate you are. The rules don't change because you feel desperate at that moment. Get a job close to where you're living if you feel so desperate.
Yes.
You know, it's just how it is.
Yes.
So you buy the car, and what's the problem?
Well,
what paperwork do you have? Do you have any paperwork on the sale of the car?
Yeah, I have this contract that he signed. That's talking about, has to do with him practically selling me the car. Like, this is the proof of that he sold it to
Okay, let me see that.
Because he signed it, so.
This is a forged document. I've never signed this. I've never even seen that until.
You haven't even seen it now? How do you know it's forged?
From the court in my town. They
Okay,
sent
so
me a
you
copy.
did see it?
Yes.
All right. I, Al Schubert, declare the vehicle Pontiac Aztek 2003 sold, has no transmission or motor issues. And if in 30 days or less there will be any mechanical dysfunction in the areas mentioned, making the vehicle non-drivable, a full refund of $2,550 is permitted.
May I?
Yeah.
It's deplorable and a joke, in my opinion.
Because?
It looks nothing like my handwriting. And I don't mean to sound the
Go
wrong
ahead.
way with this. The person that wrote that, English is not their first language. It's very clear I did not write
Schubert,
this.
declare the vehicle Pontiac Aztek 2003 sold, has no transmission or motor issues. And if in 30 days or less there will be any mechanical dysfunction in the areas mentioned, making the vehicle non-drivable, a full refund of $2,550 is permitted.
It sounds wonderful. May I?
Yeah?
There was a problem with brakes. I bought her brakes. There was a problem with the body control module, which is a computer to make it start with the key. I bought that. I was willing to put it in, but physically can't put it in because the dealer needs to program it to that VIN number for the car so it will run. I went to the dealer, told her I was at the dealer. We made a plan. I sat there for 2 hours. She never showed up. I delivered the body control module to her car, put it on the hood of her car because she didn't come outside.
This was after she complained about problems?
Yes. I bought brakes for this lady's car.
Why did you do all that if the car had already been...
Kindness. Her church called me. Her mom called me.
Her church called you?
I don't have proof of this, ma'am, but
tell me about
15,
it.
20 people called me telling me how much of a crook I am, that I sold her this lemon car that leaves her stuck in traffic all the time. But it's my understanding if the thing was leaking fluid, I told her mom, bring the car back to me.
Why didn't you meet him that day? Because if you keep driving a car that's leaking fluid, you're doing additional damage. Why didn't you meet him that day?
I didn't meet him that day because he wanted me to pay for the part. And on top of that, he lied. He didn't put no new brakes. I have a receipt right here showing all the stuff that I had to put into it. And then I have proof here as well showing that when I went to put the brakes on it, like he's saying, that the mechanic that I took it to didn't even want to take it. They didn't even want to put the brakes on it because they said, ma'am, you have to put more stuff on this, like brake rotor, standard, service, whatever, brake system, like
Janice,
the entire hydraulics was ruined.
Janice,
so I was like,
Janice.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's assume Albert George Schubert II is the worst person in the world. Do you think he knows how to spell his name?
Yes, definitely. You should know how
Why
to
do you
spell your
suppose he wouldn't spell it correctly on this document? Why do you suppose the C is missing and the B-E-R-T is
because
missing?
he knows what he's doing, and he's probably done this a million other times before. He's probably got in trouble before. He knows what he's doing. He's very aware of what he's doing. Like, that's why I had to have so many people call him, because he didn't want to listen
Somebody
to me.
is looking at a signature somewhere else and completely just, and I guess they're in a rush, and they just forget the B-E-R-T
sad.
and just put the Roman numeral 2.
It's okay. Like, I'm sorry that you believe that, but
Well, I'm just asking you, because
No,
I find this
you
a
can
little
ask-
suspicious.
that's-
I've seen his signature on his license, on the contract for the people. I've seen his signature a
That's
million
fine.
times. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried. Yeah, I got to
Okay,
tell you.
I understand why you're worried because you weren't physically there. And I cannot prove it to you other than saying that that's exactly what happened. I did type that up, and he did put his finger on it, and he did put his signature on it with a pen. And I was in the parking lot when I gave him money.
You have you're suing him for the money you paid for it, the money you paid to repair the car, the money for child care. How is it he has to pay for your child care?
Because I lost my job due to this issue.
Why-
He's not paying my child care. There was fees involved in me not being able to pay child care on time due to job loss, but I
Where's
didn't know
the car
her.
right now?
The car is at the lot, like where I live.
Okay, so
It's
you're
in
not,
my
it hasn't
backyard.
been fixed, you're not using it?
No, I can't use it. It's not drivable. The transmission
and-
shot completely.
Right, so it needs to be fixed, right? The
Yes.
transmission's shot completely.
Yeah, it's actually will cost more of me fixing it than the original cost of the car.
So what's your plan? What are you going to do with the car?
With the car, well, I want to give it back to the owner, to the original owner.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. because you bought a 15-year-old car, and you would have to prove to my satisfaction that there was some warranty on the transmission. A
And
piece of
that's
paper
what he
with a
signed.
signature that doesn't look like his at all, where he's telling me that he did not do this.
I promise you that
You can promise me all you want, but you have to prove it. See, when you come to court, you're the person with the burden of proving it. That means you have to prove that a bunch of stuff that went wrong with a car that was a 15-year-old car was under a warranty.
It was.
No, I need you to stop talking and listen. Was under a warranty that this man gave you. You have the burden of proof. You've brought me a signed document where the name is completely misspelled. He denies having ever signed it. And so you want me to conclude that he's a cagey character who figured out that he should deny ever having signing.
Ma'am, I don't want to say.
It doesn't matter.
How
You've
his
got
denial
whether
is proven,
he
but
denies
my
it or
saying
whether
that
you're
he
a
did
liar
sign-
and a forger is not what I have to decide.
Oh, okay.
What I have to decide is whether you have sustained your burden of proof. That's the only thing I have to decide.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey 11 here. Bachelorette party, folks. She's getting married. She's getting hitched. Okay, so here's my question. Would you ever buy a car, be honest with me, that you really loved, a used car, without going to a mechanic?
When do I buy one?
Would you buy a car without checking it out with a mechanic? If you really loved it and they said, look, I'm not going to let you do that, would you buy it if you loved it?
No, I
Oh
wouldn't.
my God, good. I was going to embarrass you. Why do you need to go to the mechanic beforehand?
Because you got to make sure what you're buying is what you're buying.
What are you doing for the bachelor party?
Just walking.
Strippers?
Strippers, definitely.
Where are you finding strippers?
So
This is our stripper.
Yeah, we need someone. Anyone local? We're looking for strippers.
Don't know of anybody, sorry. Going inside the courtroom.
Have you brought me sufficient proof that a car that neither side has, by the way, all you got to do is take a picture with your phone of the bill of sale, and then you have proof of a bill of sale, okay? Which is how it should be done from now on. None of you bring me the bill of sale. The default position when people sell a 15-year-old car, they're probably not going to give you a warranty. The fact that he goes and pays for a module and this and that is not evidence that there was a warranty. This is the evidence. This is the only thing you have to prove that there is a warranty.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I can't help but notice that the thing he says you forged is actually misspelled. His name is misspelled on it by about 4 letters. And not only that, someone adds 60 days to it when the body of the thing says 30 days. Why would somebody who's giving you a 30-day warranty decide they want to give you double the warranty?
Let's say it was 30 days. Let's just say it was 30 days.
No, let's not. Let's say it's unbelievable, which is what I'm saying.
No, it's
and
not.
my verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Okay, that's fine.
But you don't get lost wages in a case like this, Mr. Schubert. So on your countersuit, 0.
Genesis did not work out too well for you. You're upset.
Yes, because he did sign it, and I was standing right next to him, and I'm just tired of people taking advantage of me.
Did
Like, I'm just trying to do the right thing and take care of my daughter, and that's it. And I came here in a bad situation. Instead of coming here to do better, these people were just coming to take advantage of me, and I didn't do it. What purpose is there for me to come here and lie? I didn't forge anything, and he knows that. That's the sad part. Like, I feel bad for him because in the future, that's going to catch up to you. And I feel bad. I really do feel bad more for him because I will just do, the right thing. So.
And I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry.
So.
That's the judge's verdict. Good luck to you. Mr. Schubert, the second?
Yes, sir.
Did you forge that?
No, sir.
Did you fill it out?
I know how to spell my name pretty good. It's been mine for 40 years now.
And you used George, your last name, Schubert the second, right?
Yes.
What's the difference between George the second and
Well,
Junior?
my dad is passed away. His name was Albert Schubert, and my brother, his name is Albert Schubert Jr. So to differentiate them, I'm the second.
Okay, all right, good enough.
Thanks.
Thanks for clearing that up. All right. Harvey?
Got to tell you, Doug, forging a document before you take the oath in court, you could be prosecuted criminally for perjury. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This is the plaintiff, Gary Schmaus. He says the defendant is his neighbor, and his trees damaged his fence. He complained to the guy about his encroaching trees. He did nothing about it. And when a hurricane hit, 30 feet of his fence was destroyed. He had to spend money fixing his fence, dealing with all the debris, and is suing the defendant for the $3,168.24 he surely owed. This is the defendant, Mark Stachecki. He says his trees aren't the problem. The plaintiff's old, warped fence actually fell into his trees, not the other way around, as the plaintiff likes to pretend. The plaintiff is in big trouble here because he trespassed onto his property and actually cut down his trees. He now has to replace his beautiful trees, and if anyone's owed money today, it's not the plaintiff. He's accused of not grooming. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for tree replacement costs.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says his neighbor's tree encroached on his property and damaged his fence during a hurricane. The defendant says the fence was erect before the tree hit. It's the case of Rock Me Like a Hurricane.
Thank you, Douglas. Gary Schmaus?
Yes.
You are suing the person who owns the property next to yours in Florida, Mark Stachecki?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. For him refusing to remedy a problem on his property that was affecting your property. What was going on?
Sure. In April of 2017, I contacted Mr. Stachecki.
You owned a summer home in Florida?
I bought the home 5 years ago. My stepson and his wife and my 3 grandkids live there. They've lived there for 2.5 years.
Okay. And that was where, in what city? Sarasota?
Correct.
Okay. So you own the home next door to that home,
Yes.
and you don't live there either.
My mother passed away, and she willed it to me.
Okay. So
And-
is anybody living there or no?
Right now, no, I'm trying to retire.
To be able to live there?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what I want, yes.
All right. So where do you live now?
Wisconsin,
Where do you live now?
in Michigan.
Okay. All right. So what happened?
I contacted Mr. Stachecki because my tenant, who is my stepson, showed me that there were a couple trees that were on his property that were hanging over the fence. Our entire backyard is fenced in, and was causing damage to the tree or to the fence, pushing it in, and so forth.
Okay, so not just hanging over, but also
Pushing
growing
it in.
into. All right, when you contact him, how do you contact him? By mail?
Phone.
By phone. And you tell him what?
We have a problem. I said, you've got some trees that are overhanging. This one's hanging on my fence, causing damage. If we end up with a bad storm, there's going to be a lot of damage.
And what did he say?
He said he had some problems up there with his wife, was in jail, this, that, and the other thing. He didn't have any money, and just kind of ignored it.
Were you confiding in some complete stranger that your wife was in jail?
No, it was problems I had at work, you know. But my problem was that I have pictures here showing that the tree was not the problem, that his fence was leaning into my tree.
Okay.
And that,
Do both, so you have pictures before Hurricane Irma, and you have pictures before Hurricane Irma, right? 'Cause-
before, during, and after.
Yeah, right now I just want both of your pictures from before Hurricane Irma. This is?
Plaintiff
Okay.
and defendant.
You can
up.
come over here if
Sure,
you want.
Come right up.
Let's come over here and show me what I'm looking at
Right
here.
in this corner.
All right, which yard is this? Which yard is this? Are these two different yards? Are they the same yard? I don't get it.
This is both on the side
Both
the
of
fence.
them are on his yard.
Correct.
Taken. The photographer's on his yard.
Yes.
Okay, well, even your pictures show that the fence is going towards his yard, which,
Sure.
right, so the fence is falling apart.
Well, some of the later pictures, you'll see how it tore the fence down.
Well, yeah, well, that and a little thing we like to call Irma in my house. But go ahead and go back. Now, these are your pictures. And are these pictures taken before the hurricane?
Yes, his son was the ones that texted them to me.
Oh, these are the pictures that his son texted you? Okay.
Yes.
So in these pictures, you can tell the thing is leaning a little bit. But so why didn't you, when you call him and you don't get relief, why don't you take a chainsaw and cut it down?
After I got back to Wisconsin, I wrote him a letter and said, you know, I was willing to in my
Split
phone
the cost,
conversation.
except for here's the
Yep.
thing, in the state of Florida, and I think you've probably learned this by now, and most states, you have a right to your property from the ground to the heavens.
And what he did was he had told us after we had the phone conversation that, and I have text messages to and from my son, that he was going to take this tree down.
Okay, but he didn't.
Never did.
And then what happens with the hurricane? When the hurricane happens, what happens?
Then what ends up happening is the
Let me
tree-
see post-Irma pictures.
Sure.
Those are going to look bad, right? Because you're in Sarasota.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so a big chunk of the fence comes down. Which tree is this? Is this that tree?
Yes.
It's a big tree. How big is the tree?
20-some feet tall.
All right, so when this happens, what do?
My stepson, starts to do the cleanup, and because there's all sorts of debris all over the backyard, the fence is down, and in fact, he did, and there's a picture here also, where he did cut the tree off at the lot line.
Now, you sent, let me ask you a question, because I'm looking at texts. Who are these texts between, you and him?
Between the defendant and my stepson.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand, at some point you sent somebody out there before the hurricane to remedy the situation, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what happened?
When the guy I had watching the house knew about it that does tree work, and he was in Georgia at the time, so he had to wait a couple weeks before he got back out of Georgia to come down. When he did do it, he was trying to cut the tree down. They said that they wanted proof of insurance of his company before they could touch the tree.
Who said that? The stepson?
That was, yes.
Why?
Because this was a big tree. He's taking that tree down. It could end up on my screening over the swimming pool, on the house.
Ay, Dios mío.
So I own the tree, you have a fence, my tree blows down on your fence during a hurricane. Am I responsible for your fence?
Yes.
Why?
Because the tree's on your property.
Okay, but it's a huge hurricane.
Well, that's what insurance is for.
Don't have insurance.
Oh, that's too bad.
Am I responsible?
Sure.
Really?
100%.
100%?
100%.
With a 140-mile-an-hour wind?
Yep.
Really?
It's on your property.
Would you bet me on it? Would you bet me on it? How much would you bet? You really want to bet me?
Yeah.
I
will bet you. I do. 100%.
No.
All of it.
No, you don't.
No.
Going inside the courtroom.
Mr. Stachecki, let me hear your side of this.
Well, I never received a letter from him stating anything like that. The only thing I talked to him about was that he was suing me and that he was putting a lien on my house because of my tree.
That's what he said to you?
Yes.
Okay, and?
And, well, this is pictures of the fence after, and my brother-in-law was just there over the last weekend.
Okay.
And that's...
Who's this fellow right here with the
That's
bandana
Justin.
pointing a finger?
My stepson.
Your stepson. What's he saying?
That's what the letter underneath says.
Oh, okay. I am Kenneth K. I was asked by my brother-in-law to check on his property. On my arrival, I walked inside the home and started taking pictures. I then walked to the back of the property, and I was approached by his neighbor who was at the fence, leaning over, pointing and yelling in an aggressive manner, telling me I cannot take pictures. I told him I was on private property. I could take pictures of anything in the yard. He became angry and asking who I was, what was I doing there, why was I taking pictures. I told him it doesn't matter who I am. I'm here because I was asked to come and check on the property. This is when I began to feel uneasy. He jumped down from the fence and walked out to my car that was parked in Mark's driveway. My wife was waiting for me in the vehicle. He began yelling and taking pictures of my wife in the vehicle. My wife began to feel threatened and suggested we leave, so we drove away. And here's a picture of him going over with his foot. What's up with that? Okay, not a great idea. Not a great idea to tell people on someone else's property they can't take pictures. What the heck?
Well, here, part of this, there's a little more history.
Right, but why would any history, no matter what you told me, why would any history ever involve your stepson leaning over property saying, hey, you can't take pictures on someone else's property? I don't know. Why would that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. And Justin over here had the unmitigated chutzpah to go onto your property and cut the tree, right?
Yes.
Okay. And now you're suing for $5,000?
Well, that's what the amount was that he was trying to sue me for.
So tit for tat. All right. Now, I've got here a lawsuit against you for $5,000 for trespassing onto his property. What's your response to his lawsuit against you? Because apparently your agent, your stepson, trespassed onto somebody else's property and cut a tree down.
He's frustrated. Mr. Stuckey he doesn't probably even realize it, but he had people in there who were just nesting in his house without,
Okay,
I'm sure.
Mr. Schmaus, listen carefully to me.
Yep.
You're dead wrong on the law, and these are your responsibilities. You have a responsibility to cut down what is offending. You have a responsibility to go from the earth to the heavens, even if it ends up dismantling most of his tree. Anything that is growing over your property, you not only have the right, it's worse than that. You have the responsibility. That means you can't sue them to do that work. That means you guys needed to have done that work. So all this time that you're writing him letters and telling him, do something. Judge, he didn't do something. You're the guys that had to do something. And that fence was old, rickety, and leading into his side, okay? And then a Category 1. By the time it hit Sarasota, what was it?
It was
3?
No,
or 4?
way down.
It wasn't that down. I mean, you guys got hit pretty bad.
Not real bad. That was the only damage that we had in the
of course, because you're in Wisconsin, so it didn't feel very bad to you. Yeah, because we build them to withstand the hurricanes, okay? We build them out of block, okay? All right. So no, either your damage was an act of God, and everybody has to pick up their own crayons, as we say after hurricanes, or your damage was due to worse, the negligence that you and your stepson exhibited by not cutting down the tree. If the tree is growing into, God did you a favor, really, by going to your property and removing the tree. Did he leave a stump or no?
No.
Okay. There is an exception to trespass. No doubt he trespassed onto your property. And normally you don't have a right to trespass onto somebody's property. But there is an exception if that property is damaging your property and stopping you from the enjoyment of your property. So I'm not going to order him to pay you $5,000 for the removal of that. But I'm also not going to award you a penny. So on your lawsuit against him, 0. And on your lawsuit against him, also 0. Good luck, folks. Imagine that. Maybe one day you guys will be neighbors. I hope so. Can you put this behind you and kind of be friendly? And I hope so. All right.
Well, I think both parties learned something about trees in this really fascinating case. Mr. Schmaus, what do you think about what the judge just found?
Well, I tried to be a good neighbor, and we tried to get things cleaned up.
But you learned it was your problem all along.
Well, I don't believe that.
You could have rectified. It's the law.
I understand that.
Well, you're going to learn a hard lesson.
Well,
I think the hard way. You already have. You lost the case.
That's okay.
Okay. Goodbye. Good luck. I think he's a little stubborn. What do you think?
Yes, I do believe it.
I think so. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. The bottom line is there's a new fence up there, and your tree's gone.
Yes.
Everything's okay, right?
So far.
You're happy.
Yes.
Good for you. Well, and you learned a little bit about trees, too.
Yes, I did.
I did. Okay, good enough. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye. Harvey?
Okay, two things. If it's an act of God and the hurricane blows the tree down, I don't have to pay you. Secondly, you are allowed to actually take an encroaching branch and you can cut it off to the property line, but you can't enter your neighbor's property without their permission. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
These are the plaintiffs, Jonathan and Jocelyn Fuentes. Jonathan says he and his wife rented what they now know was an illegal apartment from the defendant. And to make matters worse, it was infested with black mold. They were forced to move out as soon as they could to protect themselves and their 2 children. And because of the defendant's dishonesty, they're out $5,000, the amount they're suing for today. This is the defendant, Oreo Cordona. He says the plaintiffs have no case today. But hey, this is America, and you can sue for a ham sandwich if you want. Bottom line, he doesn't owe them $5,000. They moved because the city of New York changed the zoning laws in the building, which was part commercial and part residential. And he's sorry, but he will not be paying the plaintiffs a dime today. He's accused of lousy landlording.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs say the defendant rented him an apartment that was infested with mold. The defendant says if there was an irregularity, it's because New York City changed the zoning code. It's a case of golden moldies.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome,
Okay, Jonathan Fuentes and Jocelyn Fuentes, you are suing your former landlord, Horizon Investors Corp., represented here by, are you an owner also?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, Aureo?
Good.
What should it be?
Audio.
Audio.
Or Oreo.
Usted es hispano.
Sí, claro.
How is it? Why is it not Aureo? All right. Audio Cardona, Executive Vice President, and your landlord. You're suing him for $5,000 for moving expenses, a security deposit that wasn't returned, loss of wages. But basically, you're really mad about this security deposit not being returned. Tell me what happened.
Basically, it was a long winter, so it was a lot of snow. And a lot of stuff accumulated.
All right, so you folks move into, is it an apartment or a house?
It's an apartment.
Okay, and the apartment is owned by him. And you had a very bad winter. Why?
Well, it was pools of water on the roof, and we had very bad leaks. And
did you complain to your landlord about
absolutely.
the leaks? And were the leaks fixed?
No, they said they couldn't address it because it was dangerous conditions on the roof. They said it was ice and whatever.
So when the ice melted, did they address it?
They addressed it that spring. By that time, mold accumulated in the spring. And, we emailed them, we called them, we let them know, like, hey, we have 2 children here. We have 2 children.
And so were you seeing mold on the ceiling again? Do you have pictures of it?
Yeah. Actually, we have the video of it.
You have a video of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on, I have one here. I have this. I'll just show this. He has a video that's just on the spot. It could be a picture.
But it's
There's nothing happening. Oh, it's the leak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You are right. I can actually see the dripping water. It took a minute.
You'll see the pot.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Is that a red Solo cup or a?
No, that's a pot that you boil your pasta in. And that first water line is the initial time where I dumped it.
Oh,
but
man, it's raining inside the apartment.
Yeah.
All right, so at some point you get frustrated and you call the city.
Yeah, she reported to
And when you
311.
call the city, you report it and the city comes out, and what happens?
So they came back to the apartment to make sure that all the damages were fixed. And
Well, had the repair been made?
It was made within that same
but now we have a new problem. And the new problem is that, did you make 4 apartments out of 2?
We made 1 apartment out of 2 on each floor.
So when you bought the building, did you turn them into 2 on each floor for more money?
There were 2. They were already there.
They were already there.
Yes.
So it already had a zoning violation.
It wasn't a zoning
It
violation.
had to be, because the problem the city had that made you make them 1 is that there was only 1 egress on each floor.
I can explain that.
Yeah.
That whole city block was torn down by the city of New York. So the only building left was that little building in the middle of that vast wasteland.
But how do the other buildings' existence means that there's a method of egress for both apartments on each floor?
You climb up, you go to the roof, and you go to the next building if there's a fire or a problem.
Oh, wait. That is rich. You expect people during a fire to climb up to where? Go where?
In the city of New York.
Jump from building to building like they were Superman?
In the city of New York, if you live next.
Okay, just stop. All right. The bottom line is that the city said what you got going on is illegal, and they have to leave because you are not legally renting it out the way it is. And then, does anybody have the document given to you by the city?
I do.
Okay, let's see what both parties show me now.
That was the vacate order that was on our door.
Illegal apartment. Yeah, just look at that. All right, illegal apartment, 2 legal Class A apartments subdivided. It's not this fancy footwork about all the other buildings and jump from building to. It's a bottom line. It's the same thing that always happens, which is somebody wants to make more money. They put up a wall, but they can't do that without the city approving it, because the city's going to require that there's a method of egress. That means an escape for the person who's trapped in a fire in the one side. Why? Because they could die. See? So yeah, illegal apartment. All right, but because it's an illegal apartment, you got told to vacate.
Correct.
All right, now are you on a month-to-month at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so you get told you have to leave because it's illegal on what day?
The 16th is when.
So you left on the 16th. So they gave you how long? You gave you 7 days to leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
And where did you end up going on the 16th?
And they sent us to the YMCA downtown. And then after that, they put us into the system to start looking for one of those family centers.
Yeah, because they told us that once they paid the fines and made the repairs, they would have to contact us to tell us that we can move back into the apartment. So this was only temporary.
At the time, were you thinking you were going to move back into the apartment?
Yes, it's my apartment.
All right, so you're out of there and you're in another situation for how many months?
6 to 7 months.
All right, and then during that time, at some point, you call them to see if the repairs are done because you do want to move back in. That's home for you, and what happens?
No, what happened was that they contacted us to give
Who's
us
they?
our Isabel.
Isabel.
We have voicemails.
The defendant.
Yeah, we have voicemails.
Contacted you to what?
To offer the 1,400. And they're like, oh, we need an address for you guys. So then we went to our social worker, and she said, you cannot accept any money from them because you will get kicked out of this program.
Good afternoon, Jonathan. This is Isabel. Please give me a call back when you get a chance. I need an address somewhere. Can I send you the security deposit?
Did you know Isabel had called them and offered them the security deposit back?
No, I wasn't.
When did you become aware of it?
Just now.
Well, that'll be interesting.
So
Who's Isabel to you?
She's the accountant.
Oh. Is she in for it when you get back? Because kind of
I'll ask her what happened.
So if an apartment's illegal, can the tenant refuse to pay rent? If they're living there.
Yes.
So they can have a free ride.
I don't think they should, but yes, I think they can.
Okay, going inside the courtroom.
So you contact Isabel by phone or by email?
By phone.
And you tell her, okay, we found a place, we need the...
I left a voicemail because they didn't pick up the phone.
Okay.
I said, hey, Isabel, we finally found a place. At this time, we signed the new
Send
lease.
us back our security.
Said yes. And then they sent me an email back and saying because of damages to the apartment and the
what
banister.
damages to the apartment? To the illegal apartment? How did they damage the illegal apartment?
There was a handrail.
A handrail.
A handrail to the...
The banister?
The banister.
Okay.
To the,
so do you have an estimate for what the banister specifically costs?
we have an estimate of... I have something here to put it back, buy a new banister because it was cracked, and clean up a little bit. It was a little more expensive. We didn't use that one, about $2,000, something like that. But that's not the issue here for us today.
What is the issue? Why won't you give these people back their security deposit?
Because they didn't pay the last month's rent.
So they catch you in noncompliance, but you want me to tell them that they owe you rent. No, you can't get rent for a noncompliant place. And you also can't get rent for a place that's unlivable because there's a pot with water. Did you see that video? That was pretty bad, okay? But the banister, you concede your moving guys ripped it out to be able to get your furniture out.
No, as they were going down with our
Well, they ripped it out. I don't care.
They ripped it out, yeah.
Yeah, good. Did you tell them, hey, you got to pay? Go sue them for reimbursing you what I'm going to order to be paid to him for the banister. The banister is, you can't damage stuff in your move. You understand that?
I understand.
All right.
Your Honor, I have a picture of the banister because they were making it seem like it was a fancy thing, the new one, because I would go back to check my mail.
It's like an 8-foot banister that you get from
plain
Lowe's for
wood,
$120.
I'm sorry, do you have an estimate for it?
Well, we went to Lowe's.com and just put 8-foot
Yeah,
banister.
do you have that?
Do we have that picture on it?
No.
No, we don't have it. That has internet if you want to
Everybody
check
just
it out.
stop. Don't talk. Oh my gosh, I found the actual banister. It has a very unique shape. This is the replaced banister.
That's the exact
banister. Okay, I see this exact banister for $64, plus the labor involved in putting it in. All right, now, why should he have to pay your moving expenses?
Because we weren't planning to move. This happened because of their negligence. And
right,
then
but you could end up having to move with 30 days. You had no lease. It's not like you were in a lease and you wouldn't have had to move for another 3 years or a year.
No, but the Red Cross gave us 1 day, and they were like, you have 3 hours to move all your things. So we had to get on the phone, get moving people.
No, I know it's a hassle, but how does that translate to he has to pay you thousands of dollars in moving costs? If he felt like it, he could have just said, get out, you have 30 days. And you would have to pay thousands of dollars in moving costs. All right, now, I'm kind of with you on the loss of wages of the 2 days of all of the government brouhaha you had to go through because of the very short notice, and the short notice of you having to move out so quickly in 7 days was not your fault. But the actual moving expenses, you could have ended up incurring that at any moment. You were living on a month-to-month lease. All right, so here's what it boils down to. You're entitled to, I'm going to deduct $150 for the banister from this total. You're entitled to the security deposit minus the $150. So that's $1,250 on the security deposit. I'm going to find that you're entitled to your loss of wages for 2 days because of the rush. That's $247.20. So that turns out to be $1,497.20. And I'm going to find that the defendant has to, in fact, pay you that amount, the $1,497.20, plus, of course, your court costs and prejudgment interest since the time that you asked for the security back. All right. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
All right, both sides, hold on.
Well, the plaintiffs do prevail in this lawsuit. Mr. Cardona did not turn out too well for you. You came in here saying you were not going to be paying them a dime today.
The judge doesn't understand the city laws.
I think she does.
Not
I think
at
she
all,
understands the law very, very well.
She said, how do you have people?
Oh, she's talking about running from building to building.
She has no clue.
That has nothing to do with the amount that you're going to have to pay them.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I think you got to go talk to your accountant because she was going to give them the money anyway.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You learned a lot. It's a bad day for you here.
I will talk to her. Yes.
Okay, good enough.
Thank you.
That way. Mr. Fuentes, Ms. Fuentes, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? You okay?
Well, I didn't get everything I wanted.
I know, but I mean,
better than nothing.
you learned. I mean, you learned.
At least I got the deposit back. So that's
At
the only
least
thing
you
that
did,
matters.
after long last.
Exactly.
All right. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Here's the thing, you don't have to pay rent prospectively, but if you've already paid rent, you can't get your money back. Congratulations. Enjoy the strippers.